Today, I'm excited to share with you the top 10 cards in my collection to date. This has become an annual tradition, and I look forward to putting it together, and it's really a fun little look back and reflection on how things have changed over the years in my collection. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Welcome to the most passionate content for card collectors on YouTube and possibly the whole entire internet. As usual, I am your host, Jake Roy, 90s B-Ball Cards here on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, occasionally some Twitter, maybe a little bit of TikTok here and there when I stop slacking. Hey, I got a name on Threads, but I don't even know if anybody's on there anymore. I haven't been on there, and I haven't seen people post on Instagram, so who knows what's going on there. Not me. So, yes, we are going into the top 10 cards in my collection. Stay tuned till the end. We've got some details on a part 2, so we're doing it a little bit differently this year because this top 10 is going to, coincidentally or not, you might be not surprised, I was not surprised, all penny cards, but it is going to be different than my penny top 10 that was about 6 or 7 months ago. There are some new things in the collection, some new updates, so it is not just a penny top 10 collection because that top 10 is going to be a two-parter. So we'll talk more about that towards the end, but a little bit of a teaser there. So with that being said, let's get right into the fire. Alright, so excited to get into these cards. Let's start here, number 10, a new entrant to the list. We have got the 96-97 Upper Deck UD3, or UD Cubed as I recently learned it may be called, Court Commemorative Auto of Penny. This is one that I have wanted since I was a kid, dreamt of, and it actually showed up on Golden Auctions in a PSA slab. It's not slabbed anymore, so you might be wondering what happened. It was somebody sent it in for grading just to get the autograph graded, so it showed up on the slab and in the listing as just Anthony Hardaway autographed card. And I think it was just an authentic autograph. I don't even think the autograph was graded. So I got it for about half of the price as one of these would usually go for. Maybe, I don't remember the exact price that it was worth at the time or whatever. We're not getting into all the details of prices at this point. Just the enjoyment of having this card in my collection. So I didn't want it in that slab. I debated whether or not I would send it off to PSA and get it graded again. You know, the card isn't in the best condition. You know, these are wood cards, so they have issues. The autograph seems like it should be a good autograph in terms of, like, you know, getting a 9 or a 10, maybe a 9 because it seems like it might be a little bit faded, but I don't know if that's typical for these. I don't really see these in person. I've seen plenty of pictures online. I shouldn't say plenty. I've seen enough pictures online to be familiar with the card, but rarely, if ever, have I seen one in hand. So I don't know if this auto, it looks like it's all on the card, so it has a potential of getting a 10. But you know, you look on the back and some of the glossy finish, you know, especially around the corners, on the edges, on the bottom, have some chipping, you know, which is fine. I love having this card. I'm very excited to have it. Not the UD3 card that's on my top 10 list for wish list, you know, so that one still is going to sit there, if you know what I'm talking about. If you keep an eye out, that would be greatly appreciated, but very happy to have this one ranking at number 10 this year. Number 9, another new one here. This is the 98-99 NBA Hoops BAMS penny, another raw card. You'll see not every card in my collection is graded, but a lot of the top 10 happens to be slabbed. So this is one that I have debated whether or not I want it to get slabbed. You know, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. Do I think it'd be a 10? No. But that's not the point. This is one that showed up on eBay very soon after the National. I had enough funds to get it, you know, left over from the National, which was great. You know, after making some deals and stuff like that, I came home with a little bit of extra cash, which is always a pleasant surprise, and this popped up, so I was, you know, watching this very closely. The listing wasn't the greatest, pictures weren't the greatest, all that stuff. I got it for a price that I was very happy with. It again, we're within the funds of what I came back from National with. So this was on my top 10 wish list, as well as the Slam Bams. If you watched that video, you were familiar with this card being talked about there. So extraordinarily happy. I mean, these cards are beautiful. They don't disappoint in hand. All that hollow foil, the blue jersey, just really cool. On the back, numbered to 250. I did have one of the experts take a look and double check to make sure that this serial numbering looked good to them, and they did confirm that it looked good. And these are ones that there are ones out there without serial numbering that the potential of getting serial numbers put on them afterwards does exist. So not the most common thing to see, but definitely something that is possible to see. So I got this for what I felt like was a really good price, but again, it felt like kind of a trade because I had sold some cards at National and had those funds available. So timing was critical on that one. So this one is one that was on the list last year. It's at the same point in the list, actually. Number 8 is the 97-98 Stadium Club Triumvirate. This is the BGS 9.5. So you might recall this is one that was a new entrant to the list last year. Got it at the Atlantic City National. Just really cool that it's still at number 8 in the list. There was a lot of fluctuation in this list this year. A lot of new entrants, all that kind of stuff. So seeing cards at the same point is really not common, actually, on this list. Half of the list is new, and there's a new number 1 on the list. So I don't think I've mentioned that until just now. So, half of these cards were not in my collection at this time last year, and the number 1 card, well, it wasn't my collection, was not the number 1 card at the time. So, yeah, I love this card. I pull it out frequently to take a look at it. It is, properly labeled. It is the Triumvirate Illuminator. So we've talked about how these get mismarked all the time. So really happy to have this one in my collection. And not shocked to see that on the top 10. Another new entrant here at number 7. 96-97 Flair Showcase Row Zero Legacy. So this is one that I actually had made a deal before the National, months before the National. I think it was in April. And we were going to finalize the deal at the National. So, really nice to have somebody. So the deal was actually partial trade and cash on my end, and then this card was the one I was getting in return. They shipped me the card before getting the cash. So just a very generous deal. It was with friend of the channel, Waldorf Stories. So really nice making a deal that he was comfortable with waiting until getting the cash at National. So I didn't really feel comfortable this being a card in my PC until that final step of the process. But this is one that he had shared on his story that I believe he picked up at a local show to him. And, he was looking to move it, and he was debating whether or not he would grade it before moving it. So, I got in touch with him. There's a card that I had in my PC that he was interested in, and it was actually really quick. I was making the deal while I was out with the kids, actually, at a playground. So, kind of funny, some of those memories that come up with these cards. But this one is the last one I needed to complete the Legacy Rainbow, the Flair Showcase Rainbow from 96-97. And Flair Showcase being one of my all-time favorite sets, to have all of the cards from the first year of Flair Showcase of Penny is something that I'm really happy to have. So this is one that has a lot of memory, a lot of nostalgia tied into it, and the memories of getting it also add to it. So beautiful card, beautiful memories. Number 3 of 150. You know how I like my serial numbers at the beginning or the end of the print run, so that's kind of a cool little thing there. But yeah, so this one is number 7 on the list. Number 6 on the list is one that you might be familiar with for me. 98-99 UD Choice Star Quest Gold. This is one that I've told the story about, back with my Penny top 10. So happy to have this in my collection. Getting it graded was purely just because I wanted to know the condition without a shadow of a doubt, but I wanted it protected, and I felt like the Beckett slabs did that best with that internal sleeve, because these are so prone to chipping. But yeah, this is just one of those cards that I could talk about for a while because of all the memories and all the nights that I dreamt of having this card in my collection and dreaming of it, and the enjoyment of seeing other Penny collectors get it in their collection. But that nagging desire to have it in my collection was remaining until very recently, when if you haven't heard the story, I'll briefly tell you. Putting out one of my lists of wish lists, a collector was watching it. Somebody that had pulled this card as a kid back in the year 2000, somewhere down in Texas, has had it in their collection ever since. It was raw. They hit me up and said, hey, you know what, I've had this in my collection for long enough. I want to pass it on to somebody who's going to really enjoy it, that's going to be in their forever PC. You seem like the right person. So gave it to me for what they knew was well below market price. Because they knew that it was just a matter of getting some cash so they could get something else in their PC that they would enjoy even more than this one, and getting it in my PC so I could enjoy it. It was a mutually beneficial transaction. So happy to have this. Again, I could keep talking about this for a long time, but that is number 6 on the list. Number 5 on the list. This is another new one this year. 97-98 Upper Deck game jersey. This is in a BGS 5, so if you saw my national review video, you saw me talk about how I got this and that deal and all the details of that. So I won't add more to that. You can go check out that video if you haven't seen that yet. But this is one, getting at the national, it being in a BGS 5 at first was a deterrent, but you flip it over on the back, it's got the subs on the back, which means it's an old slab. Then looking at the serial number, one of the friends took a look at it. This has been in this slab since 2002. So over 20 years in this slab. So some people said you might as well just crack it out and leave it raw. It's probably more enjoyable that way. Because of all that history, because it's the old flip, I'm leaving it the way it is. It doesn't take anything away from me. It protects it. I know what condition it's in, all of that. I love this card. So happy. This, along with the StarQuest Gold, are 2 cards that in the last year and a half, I've gotten both of those on my collection, and they're cards that I've always wanted in my collection. So incredibly happy to have them in my collection now. All right, number 4. We have got 97-98 NBA Hoops. This is the high voltage 500 volts of Penny. And again, this is one that I got at the Atlantic City National, a very successful national for my Penny collection. Sitting in the SGC 8.5, didn't really add much to me, didn't take anything away for it. These cards are ones that, I want them regardless, but just a gorgeous card. Another one that I pull out and just stare at often. I mean, all the cards on this top 10 list are ones I frequently enjoy. Not only because of the memories, but also because of the aesthetics. And this is one that does not disappoint. It does have a refractor line really across the middle. It goes behind Penny, so that probably takes away from the grade. Condition, let's just say I wouldn't crack it out of this slab. So, but like you've seen, I enjoy raw cards just as much as rated cards in my collection. So, super happy to have gotten this. Very happy to have made a deal with that dealer who's a fellow collector. He collects differently than I do, but we were able to actually forge a relationship because making this deal. And we made other deals this year, and it's always fun to chat with him and learn from his experiences. Just another collector with a wealth of knowledge and a overwhelming amount of passion. So really happy to have this one in my collection. Sitting at number 4. It was number 3 last year. So, a little bit of fluctuation there. Next one here, number 3 on the list. 97-98 Jambalaya. Another one that you've heard me talk tons about. This was number 2 on the list last year. Moved down to number 3, I guess you could say, but it's all right around the same point. Hasn't really changed much in value at all. And definitely hasn't changed much in my appreciation of it. So, loved it since I got it at the prior Chicago National, and again, another one of those dream cards that I had always wanted in my collection. Was really the number 1 card that I wanted in my collection until having gotten it, and then it was quickly replaced by the StarQuest Gold. So those were the 2 top cards as a kid, and having knocked both of those off in the last 3 years is something that I didn't think I'd be able to say I could do. So really happy to be able to have these and enjoy them as I have. Number 2, this was number 1 on the list last year. We've got the Ultra Stars Gold, just a gorgeous card. Another one I got the Atlantic City National, another one of the Beckett slabs without subgrades. I don't love it, but who knows? Maybe I'll send it in and see if they'll slab it with the subgrades, but I don't know what's going on at Beckett lately. So anyway, enough with that aside. These are just gorgeous cards. Very rare cards, not serial numbered, but speculated to be in very, very short supply, very similar to the Triumvirate as well. So, yeah, this is one of those that I've always really enjoyed the base version with the silver, always wanted the gold, but just felt like it would kind of always be out of reach, and was able to make a deal. Again, I talked a lot about that in the Atlantic City National recap, so another beautiful one I love to look at, love to enjoy. Great picture. All right, so what supplanted that as number one on the list that has been on the list before? You might be racking your brain, scratching, trying to figure it out, but the wait is over. Number one on the list, 99-2000 Topps Stadium Club Chrome First Day Issue Refractor. These, if you flip it over on the back, are serial number to 25. This is number 20 of 25. You know, really everything in the print run is close to the beginning or the end in relation to most other cards. But this is the only one of him in the Suns uniform in this list. You know, just barely over the threshold, but he's in that early, you know, the Charles Barkley Suns uniform, as I like to call it. So, you know, I was surprised to see this, you know, really catapult in value. But, you know, it's not a huge shock. It's just one of those things. It's kind of a guessing game. So I let Card Ladder do the guessing for me. But it being in a BGS 10, there are, you know, there's no other copies of this card that have sold publicly. This one has never sold publicly. There are no other 10s in any population of any grading company, at least not that I've seen to date. This it could change by the time you're watching it. But one that I was able to get in a trade, a straight trade. Very happy to have gotten this. It's a card that I've dreamt of this since I was a kid, and had never seen one sell publicly. I saw eventually, years and years later, the number 1 of 25 sell on PWCC for an astronomical amount at the time. I was not a buyer at that point, and having this pop up on eBay, it did not sit there for long, and I happened to get a PSA order back with some surprising grades just at the right time, so we were able to do a straight trade for this. You know, ever since I got that Rod Strickland that my dad gave me for Christmas, I had dreamt of this penny card. So it was one I always wanted, didn't think I'd ever actually be able to track down, and I did, and the way to get it, you know, so happy. So happy with it being a BGS 10 also. I love Beckett graded cards. You can see most of these, if they're graded, they're Beckett. No PSA on the top 10 this year, but, you know, we'll get into that in part 2. So, yeah, I just love this card. I love all these cards. You know, really, this top 10 is a great way to show kind of what I enjoy in my collection. It's a collection that has been a long journey, and I'm very pleased at where my collection is right now. These top 10 cards really bring me a lot of joy, a lot of fond memories. So, really happy to share it with you, and I'm really looking forward to sharing part 2 of the top 10 as well. Alright, so that was part 1 of my top 10. So there will be another 10. So little inside joke with my wife, part 1 and 2. So we were going to get into that. Part 2 is going to have the honorable mentions, which I usually have in the top 10. Also, the other cards that are just outside of the top 10 are non-penny cards. So it seemed appropriate, if the top 10 are going to coincidentally just be Penny Hardaway cards, that I should make sure to extend it a little bit further to show you all of the fire that is not just penny cards. And some of the players that made that list, that portion of part 2, might surprise you. Some of the cards might surprise you. It's going to be really fun to go over some of those and share some of those details. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Stay tuned for part 2 next week. Oh, how could I forget? If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any videos in the future. New videos dropping once, sometimes twice a week. We've got looks into my PC, 90s pack openings, occasional collector interviews, occasional grading reveals, occasional show reviews, and so much more. Thanks. We'll talk later.